Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday. My name is Kate. I'm back. If you don't know me, that's probably because you missed most of our other YouTube videos. So you definitely need to go back and watch those before we dive into things. We, sorry, guys, it's been a long day. Let me reset here. Welcome back to our YouTube channel. For you guys, those of you who are new, welcome. For those of you who have been with us before, welcome back. And we are going to be talking about curated content today, as we have been talking about so far through August. So I alluded to this a little bit in our last video that we were going to get into chronic pain, which was one of my favorite topics. So I'm going to try to stay on track today. Yes, as dictated by the comments, my puppy has joined me today. She's napping behind me, so she might pop her head up and say hello to everybody. So let me do our introduction, though, and give you guys all the information. So for those of you who don't know what Studio D is, we are a multidisciplinary clinic, which means that we have multiple types of practitioners that work with us, and we have a team approach where all of our practitioners collaborate on our patients to help you achieve your health and wellness goals. So as I said, we've been working on curated content this month in August, and last month we touched on all of our pillars for Studio D, which is kind of what springboarded us into this month, which was curated content. This month we are also doing a giveaway, which is very exciting. So one lucky winner will be taking home either a Studio D hoodie or a toque. And we are also going to be giving in that package a benefits analysis. So stay tuned to the end of the video so that you can get all the details on how to enter into that draw. So without further ado, let's dive in. So today we are talking about chronic pain. Like I said, one of my favorite things to talk about. So I thought a lot about how to start this conversation and start talking about this. And I'm so passionate about it that I'm probably going to get off track. But I grew up living with somebody with chronic pain. And throughout my undergrad, I worked at a chronic pain clinic. And so I would never use the words that I understand what somebody like that is going through when they're going through chronic pain. But I do feel like throughout my life, I've gained almost a common language to use with people that are going through chronic pain, and an ability to relate to some of the things that they might be going through, not the feelings, not the experience, but just knowing some of the components that come with chronic pain. So this has been a passion for me that followed me through my undergrad and into my professional career as a certified athletic therapist. And so when I was looking at how we could help support this population of people that are going through chronic pain, I did a lot of research in Calgary and the surrounding areas into what resources were available for people going through this with like manual therapy. And it was so disappointing. I did so much research and there was nothing. There was almost no resources out there that helped people with chronic pain with manual therapy tools. It was all drugs or those like modalities. So whether that's needling or, traction or whatever, but nothing hands-on, one-on-one with a therapist, which is obviously where I come from as a practitioner. And it was really interesting because what I did is I created a platform for chronic pain patients to come in, and I started working with lots of chronic pain patients and trying to figure out how to create that curated content, which is what we're here to talk about today. And the interesting thing was manual therapy really wasn't a huge priority, which was really interesting for me to learn. And I found that when I was working with people in this population, manual therapy came up weeks into working with somebody. What came up first was the education, the holding space and understanding, allowing them to talk and explain their experiences. And, when people walk through the door with chronic pain, often they've seen everybody under the sun. They've seen all the practitioners, they've seen all the specialists. And I really truly believe that a lot of what happens, if we've talked about this systemic issue in the healthcare industry, is all of those people trying to put you in a mold, or all of those people, trying to work with you single-handedly. And, I strongly believe as a practitioner and a clinic director here at Studio D that not one practitioner can be your fix. It can't be your whole world. It can't be the whole puzzle for you. It's not going to work. There is no world in which having multiple eyes work on a problem together is not better than one. So if I was to bring in a patient and start working with them, I'm going to have different takeaways than if, one of my colleagues works with the same person, does the same history, intake, etc., digs into all of the different layers of this person's life. We're both going to come away with different things. And that really leads me to believe that one of the biggest issues we fall into and traps we fall into with starting to work with people that are experiencing chronic pain is we try to follow this roadmap, this checkpoints that we learn in school or we learn through other rehab, and we try to fit that person into a mold with back pain or whatever it might be. There are so many different reasons people experience chronic pain, whether that's trauma or an accident or maybe a surgery that went wrong, or it's endless reasons why people experience chronic pain. And then those people that are experiencing chronic pain, every person's body will adapt and take on change. Living in pain all the time, nobody goes through that and doesn't have physiological change that happens. We're going to have compensation patterns that happen. We're going to have sleep disturbances, psychological issues, hormonal changes. All of these things cycle and feed into each other and create these layers of complexity. And so when you start to work with somebody, if you try to go to the center, the old analogy or the metaphor of the onion with lots of layers, if we tried to get to the center of the onion, peel it all back and address, let's say, somebody who comes in and they broke their back 14 years ago. If we try to go and look at the fracture site or even just look at the back to start, we're not going to get anywhere because the body has so carefully protected, adapted, built up layers of defense around that spot that if we try to go there right away, we're going to have very little success. And honestly, with the patient, we wouldn't get success diving into the middle anyway. There's a trust that has to be built. There's a language that has to be built and learned, and the communication has to be so strong in order to really discover what this person is experiencing in their everyday life, in their history from the very beginning, digging into those aspects. And I think, I talked, there's no roadmap. That's the first thing I think we fall into as a trap. And that's the first step in when we're looking at curated content is we can't follow a roadmap. There is no roadmap for people that are experiencing chronic pain. The second thing is that manual therapy maybe isn't the priority. And that was a learning experience for me. Going into this, I thought, okay, there's no people doing manual therapy. One of the ways that we can change the system is by offering manual therapy. And that wasn't even what was needed. And so I think that's the first thing that I learned when I was creating the curated content with working with these patients is what I thought was a priority wasn't. Those priorities is that line of communication, that trust, education around why these people might be experiencing some of the things, framing it in a different way that maybe is going to allow them some insight into why some of the things that have happened, that cascade of changes in the body. They're experiencing it, but they might not understand from like a anatomy, physiological standpoint why these things are happening. So that common ground, that education about why things are happening and why we are going to start where we start. So I think the next thing that needs to be curated is that plan. And that plan cannot be created without having everybody involved, everybody in the team and the patient. And so when we at Studio D have a chronic pain patient come on, we do multiple intakes. So multiple therapists meet with this person. They go through the whole history, the whole intake. They ask their own questions. We don't have a mold. We don't have an intake form with a set number of questions that you ask. Every practitioner is going to have different questions that mean different things to them. And having multiple practitioners ask those questions is going to give us this amazing depth of knowledge to start this process on. So we have multiple people working with the patient, multiple people doing that intake, and then that team is going to meet and brainstorm and look at what information we gather. And, this is one of the biggest things that people come and they talk to me about when they've had chronic pain is, I saw this specialist or I saw this surgeon and I did 4 years with this physio and I did this. And we've talked about this in the past videos that none of those people are talking. The healthcare industry has segmented health, which is, a way in which to allow people to become experts in one field, which is, great in its own respect. But when none of those none of those professionals talk, and when the human body is so complex and always interacting and working together, and all these systems affect all of the other parts of the body, it's really hard to treat a person without having people talk and looking at the whole picture. You can treat the injury, but it's really hard to treat and work with the person when you're only looking at one little part of the puzzle. And so I won't get into that because we've got into it lots before, and it's just going to be a black hole for me to go into. So we have the team approach, we have everybody collaborating, and the next step of that curated process for us is that we are having that communication with the patient. So they are actively involved, and we've talked about that ownership of your own health and your own advocate for your life. And I think a lot of people lose that through 14 years of back pain. And so we like to bring people in, have that education, and really explain to the patient why we are taking the steps we're taking so that they understand where they're going, that they're actively involved in the decisions that are being made, and they're actively involved in the plan so they know where they're going. That allows them to have some power over their destiny, some hope in where they're going. And it's going to allow for a much better platform for success in the long haul. So I told you guys at the beginning that this is something I'm very passionate about. So I'm going to stop there before I get into any other big black holes. But as you can see, this is something that I've worked most of my career on and working with patients. And this is something that's really, really important to me. So if you guys have specific details about this, or if you maybe are experiencing some of these things and you are looking for more information or somebody to talk to or bounce something off, please reach out to us. You can comment below if you want to start a discussion. But you can also reach out to us independently and privately. So our email is admin@studiod.com. And you can reach out to us, and we are happy to start a discussion with you or to talk about maybe what you're experiencing. So please subscribe, like, follow our channel here so that you can be part of the excellent discussion that are coming in the weeks to come in August. And like I said, we have this amazing draw that's coming up at the end of August. So if you're interested in getting in the draw, please leave a comment. So subscribe on the video, like the channel, subscribe on the channel, like the video, and please leave a comment that just describes to us why you think you might benefit from benefits package analysis, or maybe why some of these services might be good for you. We're just trying to start a discussion and get you guys actively involved. So we will be back next Tuesday, same time, same place with me to talk about our next portion of curated content. So I look forward to seeing you guys then. Have a great night.